So everybody's here, so we can start. So possibly we can finish a little bit earlier, hopefully, because there is a lot to do today. As you can see in my font, it will be about the cell organelles or the parts of the cell today. And today, I first want to make an announcement to tell you that tomorrow, I think I already said by WhatsApp, that tomorrow we have a conference at 11. So with Paulina from technology, her conference is postponed because the guest speaker couldn't do it tomorrow. It was not the best day for this person, so they will postpone it to another day. So for tomorrow at 11, you will have a guest speaker for my class, which means that our class at 9 will be canceled. The class at 1 will be canceled, and both of you groups will join at 11 for the conference speaker. Okay, is that clear for everybody? I will put it in the announcements anyway. I will take list, okay? It's like a class, but the class will be at 11. So if you're not there, you will have an absence. That's important for you to know. But you don't have the free hour at 11. You will have it at 9, okay? So I switch it.
Can you repeat which hours they're going to take? Like what time is it? Like
at 11.
From what
tomorrow
time to what
11,
time?
you will have a guest speaker. So tomorrow at 9, we don't have class. We have guest speaker at 11. And the both groups of multi will join at 11. Okay? Because the guest speaker doesn't have time to do the two times a conference. So we join the two groups. That's the first one. I will put it in the announcements and I will tell you in WhatsApp as well.
Like at whatever will it end, because we have like history exam tomorrow at 12.
Yeah, no, but it will finish before 12. Oh. It will be like 15
okay.
minutes only, okay?
Yes, thank you.
And then today we will see cell organelles, and and do a little activity after it. But before we do that, I want to share some news that was 2 days ago in all the newspapers of the world, basically. And as you can see here on my screen, it's about life on Venus. So even the New York Times reported it, and also Time reported it, amongst any other newspaper in the world. Why is this interesting? Because we have been talking about the origin of life. And in fact, scientists, they were always looking to other planets. They would look to Mars, they would look to the moons of Saturn. They wouldn't look at Venus, because Venus is our closest planet, and it's also the hottest planet in the solar system. In fact, Venus is so hot that it's possible that lead melts on its surface. It's really very, very hot surface. Also, they always thought that life would not be possible on Venus because the clouds are made of sulfuric acid. So there is so much acid in the clouds, and it's so hot, and there is so much radiation that it was always considered that life would not be possible. Moreover, the pressure is very high. Now, what they discovered was that in the clouds on, I don't know the exact altitude, but it was fairly high, like several kilometers up from the surface, they found that an atom which is called phosphine, okay, like you can see here. It's like a phosphorus, and it has 3 hydrogens, okay? This is not really live phosphine, but the thing is that why is it so special is that phosphine has only been found on planet Earth when there is life. You know, we know that this is a byproduct of life, and that's why scientists got very excited, and they possibly believe, of course, there is not little aliens on the surface of Venus, but this possibly indicates that in the atmosphere on a high altitude where it's not so acidic and not that much pressure, that there is microbacterial life in the atmosphere of Venus, and that's why they're so excited. The atmosphere of Venus, you cannot compare it with our atmosphere. It's not air, it's way denser than that. you can see it's something between water and between air. You know, it's not as dense as water, but it's definitely not as dense as our atmosphere. So it's like something in between. So it's a very dense medium in which it's possible that bacteria, which have a very light weight, that they stay afloat in this atmosphere that is so dense. So I wanted to share that with you. This they took. Look, they say even hot enough to melt metal and clouds of full of acid. So they always thought it was not possible for life to be there, and now it seems to be one of the best candidates of our solar system to have life. I believe that sooner or later we will find life in our solar system, and if you think about it, I think that life is quite abundant in the universe. But the thing is that the universe is so big that life doesn't get a chance to travel from galaxy to galaxy, or even from planet to planet, because it just doesn't survive the trip, you know. Um, I'm talking about life. I'm not talking about intelligent life, but we will see maybe something more in the future about this. But I thought it was exciting news to share in our class, because I think that in our lifetimes we will hear confirmation of some kind of microbiological life in outer space. Okay. Somebody has heard something about it, or wants to comment something about it? Oh, it is very exciting. I don't know. Maybe for you, you say why would I care? It's so far from us, but it's really
Mr.
very big scientific breakthrough. Yes, Emilio?
Did you know that some scientists found out about some microorganism that can survive to really high temperatures? Like,
Extremophiles you refer to.
yeah.
Yeah, they found, it's true what you say, even in Yellowstone National Park, in the geysers, which are 100 degrees or more, they found bacteria that they were first thinking that it was impossible for bacteria to live there. And this only strengthens the hypothesis that it's possible that maybe bacteria might travel on comets or meteorites or something like that.
I think you're talking about the tardigrades.
También.
Sorry?
Tardigrades, water bears. They can survive. You're muted. They can survive to extreme. I don't know how.
But Mister, do you actually believe that it's...
Sorry, Ali, can you go ahead?
No, I didn't say nothing. The microphone was open.
Mister, do you think that it's actually possible that there's life on Venus?
Yeah, I think there might be life. I don't think it's impossible. I think if you read carefully about it, then it seems to be that Venus hasn't been always as hostile as it is. Venus is more or less the same size of planet Earth, and the scientists believe that once in history there was water on Venus. The problem now with Venus is that the atmosphere on the surface is 96% carbon dioxide, and above you have this sulfuric acid. I mean, all the atomic elements, if you see to the composition of Venus, is very similar than Earth. I think that maybe in a very long time ago, that possibly there was life on Venus, but now on the surface, it's not possible for life to thrive on the surface anymore, and there is just some biological life left in the atmosphere. Possibly there was first life on Venus and then on planet Earth, but Venus is in a complete different state now than it used to be, because of the acid and the heat, and it's basic global warming a million times stronger than on Earth, you know. So I do think it's possible. I think that we have to open our minds a little bit, because think about the Miller-Uller experiment. If you just take the right atoms and you put them in a flask and you put some lightning, you get biomolecules, and you get this after some hours, after some days. So how would this not be happening all the time in all of the universe? So I really believe that there is life out there. I'm not saying intelligent life, but I'm absolutely convinced somehow that we might find some kind of organisms in other planets, because it's like I said before in my previous classes, it's a consequence of the laws of nature, and laws, they don't apply in only planet Earth, they apply everywhere. So that's why I think we might find life on other planets. If it's good news, that's another thing. I have a very nice video about Kurzgesagt. I will share it in Kurzgesagt. You have heard of it possibly. It's a video on YouTube, and they say that if we find life on other planets, it's not really good news, not necessarily, because it might mean that that we're doomed, you know. But I'll share the video. It's very interesting. I'm not going into detail about that now, because otherwise we're not going to finish. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a closer look to the cells. Okay, we need this because the cells, we will talk about cells, and we will investigate how each cell organelle or each cell component works. Okay, we have two big kinds of cells. We have two big groups. We have the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. Okay, today we mainly talk about eukaryotic cells because this is the kind of cell that you find in animal and plants. Prokaryotic cells is a kind of cells that you find in bacteria, archaea, and other microorganisms. It's a very simple cell. Basically, everything that a prokaryotic cell has the eukaryotic cell as well. And here you see what they have in common. They have cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the liquid inside the cell. Okay, they both have it. All cells have a plasma membrane. Okay, they're all surrounded by a membrane. This membrane is made of the biomolecule phospholipid. Okay, you know, phospholipids, we have talked about that. Also, a common feature of all cells is that they all have DNA. Okay, here in the prokaryotic cell, it's loose inside the cell like some spaghettis, and in the eukaryotic cell, the DNA is inside the nucleus. And all of the cells, they use RNA. Think about the video we have seen. RNA is basically the component that it's a nucleic acid that we use, that cells use to make a copy of the DNA to transform it into proteins. Okay, you can compare it a little bit with DNA is the library, it has all the books, and the RNA is the copy you take of the book. Okay, but we will go more in detail about that. So let's have a look about which components have those cells all. Okay, the eukaryotic cells. Let me go here.
Mister, can you go back like for 2 seconds to take a picture?
But I will share you this presentation. I will put it in Canvas, because in the feedback you told me that sometimes it was a bit difficult to find more detailed information. I know it was I don't know, don't remember if it was this group or the other one, but I think I can share some more theoretic content with you, and I put it in Canvas. And by clicking on the link, you can download this presentation, and you have it all nicely summarized. Okay, so in order to help you, so don't worry, you don't have to take pictures. I'm always going to give this to you. Okay, this is how an animal cell looks like, and this is how a plant cell looks like. They look very similar, but they have certain things different. Okay, let's have a look at what they have different. The animal cell, somebody can tell me what you see? You can also see it on my background. We have a plant cell and an animal cell. We're talking about eukaryotic cells right now. What is the main differences between the animal and the plant cell? Because they are basically, all of the things are the same, but there's some major differences between the two of them. So look at the animal cell here, and look at the plant cell. What do you see immediately as a difference?
The shape have the flagellum.
Yeah, not always, not all animal cells have that. That's not a main difference, but I heard
Shape.
that, yes. The thing is that both cells have a cell membrane, okay? They made of phospholipids, but the plant cell has also a cell wall, what you can see here. The cell wall is not made of phospholipids, it's made of carbohydrates, okay? To be more in specific, it's made of cellulose, okay? And basically it's cellulose that makes wood to be wood, you know? Wood is basically cellulose. And if plant cells would not have cell walls, then a tree would just fall into pieces. It would not be strong enough to grow as high as it is. That's why plants have cell walls, okay? Animal cells, they don't have cell walls, okay? That's one big difference. And this thing here, what is this? What you see here in the plant cell?
Membrane?
It's called the vacuole, yeah? It's a membrane indeed.
The cytoplasm.
And the vacuole is used by the plant cells to store liquid, nutrients and water, okay? Animal cells, they don't have it because animals and humans, we drink, okay? So we don't have this, this liquid storing capacity. Plant cells, they do because they have to take the water through the roots and they have to lift it up to sometimes high altitudes, depending how high the plant or the tree is. So they need to store this. Now, interesting question for you. What do you think, Valentina? Which plant cells have the biggest vacuoles, desert plants or jungle plants?
Desert.
Of course, desert plants have bigger vacuoles because they need to store more water because it's raining less, okay? So you see that. That's why if you, for instance, cut a cactus, the liquid is coming out immediately. If you do this with a jungle tree, there is no liquid coming out because it's way harder. I mean, depends on the species, of course, but usually the drier the environment, the bigger the vacuoles are, okay? Think about succulentes, you know, these plants, these fatty plants as well. And then another big difference is what? Somebody can help me? So you see here these things, we call them mitochondria. We find them also in plant cells, but then we see here this kind of things that we don't see in animal cells. How is it called?
Chloroplast.
Yeah, chloroplast, very good. Chloroplasts is what makes plants green, okay? Because they have a protein in it, which is called chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is the protein that is able to capture sunlight and convert it into sugars. I mean, not the protein, the whole mechanism. We will see that in photosynthesis, but definitely the chloroplast. It's a very, very unique feature of plant cells. It does an amazing job because it's able to make matter, somehow matter out of the air, you know. It converts CO2 into glucose with the help of sunlight. That's what chloroplasts do. We will see that more into detail. Okay, let's go to the features of the cells, which they all have. The major features. So here we go. So here you see the nucleus, okay? The nucleus is made of three things: the nuclear envelope, the chromatin, and the nucleolus. The nucleolus is in fact the nucleus of the nucleus, okay? It's here inside the core. What happens in the nucleolus is there are ribosomes made, okay? In the nucleus, what you see here, this is the DNA, okay? And then here, the nuclear envelope, it's what covers the DNA, and it has like little holes in it, which we call nuclear pores. And the pores, we need it for the ribosomes that are produced in the nucleolus to go outside the nucleus and go to the endoplasmatic reticulum, okay? So what we have in the nucleus is the DNA, which you see here in purple. We have the nucleolus, which produces the ribosomes. The ribosomes are the machines that convert, that make proteins, basically. We will see that in a moment. And that's basically what's happening right there, okay? And those ribosomes, they go out of the nucleolus and then they go here to the endoplasmatic reticulum where they stay waiting until they need to do their job, okay? So here you can see it a little bit different. So here is the animal cell, okay? You see here the nucleus. The pink center, the purple center is the nucleolus. The nuclear pores is where the ribosomes, they travel outside the nucleolus when they're produced, and they go to the endoplasmatic reticulum translate proteins, basically. Okay, so here you can see that in a yeast cell. Okay, what is chromatin? Chromatin is basically DNA associated with proteins. DNA is such a complex molecule that it cannot really exist alone. You know, it needs a protein to carry it. Think about the spindle of a thread. Think about your grandmother who is sewing things. If you would have the thread loose, it would be full of knots. It would not be very easy. So how do they sell like the thread to sew? They sell it on a spindle, you know. It's like a little plastic thing to wind the wire up so it stays nicely organized, and it doesn't cause knots. So the same happens with those proteins. Okay, we call them histones. Okay, and those histones together with the DNA, we call that chromatin. Okay, and that's what you find here in the nucleus. That's what you find here. Okay, so the DNA is not only DNA, it's always associated with proteins, because otherwise it would be a big mess. You can see it here on the image. You see here the DNA, it's zoomed in, and we zoom out, and you see here the proteins for the that help the DNA to be packaged, in fact. Okay, and then they form chromosomes when the cell splits. Okay. Okay, this we're not going to see now. Then the nucleolus, we have seen that. Okay, nucleolus, you have it right here in the nucleus. Sorry. Here in the nucleus, you have the nucleolus, and that's where the ribosomes are produced. Okay, everybody's with me so far? Yeah, we have just seen three things. We have seen the DNA. DNA is organized as chromatin, and chromatin is basically just DNA with histones in order to package the DNA nicely in the nucleus. Okay, inside the nucleus we have another thing which we call nucleolus, and that's where the ribosomes are produced. And the ribosomes, we need them to produce proteins. Okay, this is what you call a polyribosome, and they produce proteins. Okay, you don't have to know the details yet. You just have to know and recognize each part and what it does. Okay, you don't have to know the details yet. We're just going over all the components. Okay, that's what we're going to do today. And then we have a part of the cell which we call the endomembrane system. We call that endomembrane system because it's the biggest part of the cell, and it's all about membranes. Let me go back to the cell picture, which I have here. So the endomembrane system is everything you see here. So you have here the nucleus, and all this pinkish fuchsia color thing is endomembrane system, and also these orange things. Okay, the mitochondria not, but the Golgi apparatus and the endoplasmatic reticulum, the vesicles, all of this is the endomembrane system, because it's basically membranes that do a specific function and that are folded in a specific shape. Okay, so it's the vesicles, the endoplasmatic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, the lysosomes, and the back walls. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at each of them quickly. Vesicles are basically transport pods, you could say. In fact, what the vesicles do is transport things inside the cell, and sometimes things go outside the cell. When we call it exocytosis, and when the vesicle is taking in things inside the cell, we call that endocytosis. Okay, so it's like a little elevator, you can say, or a little car that travels through the cell to get things from outside the cell and remove it from inside the cell. Okay, so that's what vesicles do. The endoplasmatic reticulum is what you see just next to the nucleus, and here you can see the ribosomes. Okay, so we have two endoplasmatic reticulums. We call it the rough and the smooth endoplasmatic reticulum. So here is the nucleus, and here you see the endoplasmatic reticulum. Here is the rough one and the smooth one. The difference is that the rough one, they call it rough because under the microscope, like you could see here, you could see all these little circles, these little canicas, or these little balls. Okay, these little points that you see, these are the ribosomes. And that's why they called it rough, because it wasn't smooth. Okay, And then the outside, more on the extreme of the endoplasmatic reticulum, there were no ribosomes. So like you can see here, the surface is smooth, and that's why they call it smooth. In fact, it's exactly the same thing, but they have a different function. And the rough endoplasmatic reticulum has ribosomes, and the smooth endoplasmatic reticulum has no ribosomes, okay? So what is their function, basically? The rough endoplasmatic reticulum, which has the ribosomes, which you can see here, all of that, they produce proteins, okay? Because you need the ribosomes to produce proteins. It's the ribosome and the RNA that makes a protein, okay? And the smooth endoplasmatic reticulum, it doesn't need ribosomes because it's more involved in synthesizing phospholipids and hormones and stuff. Okay, so it's producing another group of biomolecules. So the smooth endoplasmatic reticulum is more involved into the lipids, and the rough endoplasmatic reticulum is more producing the proteins. Okay, so in fact, they're factories, guys. They build stuff. Okay, the rough endoplasmatic reticulum builds proteins. The smooth endoplasmatic reticulum builds lipids. Okay, and both of them you need in order to have a cell, because everything is made of proteins and lipids. Okay, so think about the fat you get on your skin. Okay, in order to protect you, these are lipids that are produced by the smooth endoplasmatic reticulum. Okay, if you think about your hair or other proteins that you have on your body, they're all produced in the rough endoplasmatic reticulum. It's a protein called keratin. Okay. Okay, let's go to the Golgi apparatus. So we went already over several ones. The Golgi apparatus is the one you see right here. Let me go back quickly. This is the Golgi apparatus here. Okay, so what the Golgi apparatus is doing, it is packaging and transporting everything that is produced by the smooth and the rough endoplasmatic reticulum. So what the Golgi apparatus does, what you can see here, it's producing vesicles. Okay. It does the final touch of the molecules that are produced. It says, okay, I want to change it a little bit. I want to still add something. I want to alter it a little bit. I package it and I send it to the place where it has to be. That's what the Golgi apparatus is doing. Okay. How does it transport it? With the help of vesicles. Vesicles are little transport bubbles, let's say, to transport everywhere inside the cell, but also outside the cell. Okay. So in fact, it's very simple if you think about analogies. Okay. So they make proteins, and here's the Golgi apparatus that transports the proteins made by the endoplasmatic reticulum to everywhere where it has to be. Here you can see it nicely summarized. Okay. So you have the DNA. The DNA is copied into RNA. The RNA joins with a ribosome making proteins. Proteins are produced in the endoplasmatic reticulum. It goes to the Golgi apparatus in order to alter, to package, and the Golgi apparatus sends it outside the cell in this case. In this case, this cell is producing antibodies, okay? That's how it works. DNA, RNA, and ribosome sends it to the Golgi apparatus, last changes are made, and sends it outside the cell, okay? Okay, it's more or less the same. I'm not going that in detail because it's not beyond the scope of the course anymore. So I just want to see if you understand this part. So let's do a little exercise about it. Okay. Here I have function cards. Okay. And you have to tell me here where it goes. Okay. We haven't seen all of them yet, but I want to start with the exercise just by seeing how much you know already, okay? Captures energy from the sunlight and uses it to produce food in plant cells. Which one is that one, Ali? We haven't seen it yet, but it's a special one from plant cells only.
I know, Mr., but only with the name. Can you go up, like?
Okay.
Yeah. The vacuoles.
No.
Chloroplast?
Chloroplast, yeah. We haven't seen that in detail yet because we're going to see that more in detail in photosynthesis, but it's good, Ali. It's the chloroplast, because it's the chloroplast is what I said in the beginning of the lesson. It's the green thing inside plant cells that is able to capture sunlight. Okay. If I go back to the presentation, chloroplast, we don't see it in this chapter in detail because it's very magical. I don't think we see it this course. In fact, normally we do, but like the content is reduced a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be there. So this is the chloroplast. Okay, it's the thing you only find in plant cells. It's the thing that captures sunlight to produce glucose. Okay. Okay, very good. Here, controls what comes into and out of a cell found in plant cells and animal cells. What would that be, Emilio Marroquin?
Wait. Vowels?
Controls what comes into and out
No.
of a cell.
Yeah. Cell membrane.
Cell membrane, very good. Each cell has a cell membrane, and it's the cell membrane that is made of phospholipids. There are some proteins in it, and this controls what goes in and outside the cell, because it's like the city wall, you could say, okay? A gel-like fluid where organelles are found. This one is easy. Jose Roel, what do you think?
Can you repeat it? My internet.
A gel-like fluid where the organelles are found.
You go.
It was a cytoplasm, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it's the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is the
Please.
liquid inside the cell, okay? You could, I mean, it's not the same thing, of course, but you could think a little bit like it's the blood of the cell, okay? It's not blood, of course, but it's like the liquid that the cell needs. Without the liquid, it cannot be there. Because in this gel-like fluid, which we call cytoplasm, the nutrients are there, all the things are floating in it. So without this medium, a cell would not exist. You know, it would be like you without blood. It would not work really well. This is very easy. Control center of the cells, which contain DNA. Andrea?
Monday?
Which one is the control center of a cell?
The nucleus?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the nucleus is where all the DNA is. I call it the control center. It's like the library. It's where all the important material is stored. Found inside the nucleus and produces ribosomes. What is that?
Nucleoli.
Nucleoli, very good. Reached outer layer of a plant cell. That's also easy. Ana Sofia?
Can you go up for the names?
Okay. Guys, this you have to be able to do. This is important that you know each part. You don't have to know the details, but you have to know its major function, and you have to be able to indicate it on an image like you see behind me. So Ana Sofia, what is this? The reached, what did it say? The reached outer layer of a plant cell.
The cellulose.
Yeah, it's made of cellulose mainly, but we call it?
The chromatin.
No, that would be in the nucleus.
Cell wall.
The cell wall, exactly. It's the cell wall that gives the structure to plants and to trees. Without the cell walls, trees wouldn't be trees, and there would not be wood. Wood is basically cellulose. It's a biomolecule of the group carbohydrates, and cellulose is mainly what cell walls are made of, okay? This one, we haven't seen it yet, but it's like the recycling plant of a cell, and it uses chemicals to break down food and worn out parts of the cell. So it's like, yeah, the recycling plant, or the waste disposal area of a cell. How would we call that?
Lysosome.
The lysosomes, very good. It's the lysosome that has some kind of chemicals inside it. It looks like a vesicle, in fact. It's very similar as a vesicle, and it can digest certain things inside that the cell doesn't need anymore. This one receives proteins and material from the endoplasmatic reticulum, packages them, and distributes them. That's an easy one, Maria Fernanda.
Can you make them up a little bit? Golgi bodies.
Yeah, Golgi apparatus or Golgi bodies. Yeah, that's exactly the same thing. Okay, what is producing the energy that a cell needs to carry out its functions, Camila? We haven't seen it in a lot of detail yet, but I've mentioned it in other sessions. So what is producing the energy in a cell? So it's in fact
it was the endoplasmatic reticulum, right?
No, the endoplasmatic reticulum is producing proteins and phospholipids and hormones and stuff. But what is giving the energy? What is the power plant of a cell?
The smooth. It was a smooth, right?
We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. It's the mitochondria. We will see it in other parts of the course, but it's the mitochondria. Let me go quickly for you. It's this one. Okay. We will talk a lot about the mitochondria. If you don't know it yet, don't worry about it. It's just an introduction what we're doing today. I just want you to recognize the point. The mitochondria. This is the power plant of the cell. Okay. Assembles amino acids to create proteins. There you go, Emilio. Which one was this?
The endoplasmatic reticulum.
And in specific one, which one?
The rough one.
The rough one, very good. Which thing is storing food, water, and wastes and other materials? Arturo, what do you think? It's only
Of what?
Sorry?
Of what?
Which part of the plant cell, because you don't have this in animal cells, what is storing food, water, waste, and other material in a plant cell?
No sé, profe, estoy haciendo el examen, entonces ando muy distraído.
Are you doing my exam right now?
Ya, me acaba de funcionar.
Awesome. Andrea, and you? Still doesn't work.
Te mandé un mensaje en privado.
No, it still doesn't work.
Okay, yeah, then we have to find a solution for you. Okay, it's anybody else knows? I just wanted to say it.
Profe, por cierto.
Mister, can you put the image?
Profe. En una tuve un error. Entonces, o sea, contesté todas, pero como que se me iba el internet. Entonces, pues me saqué mal la calificación. Entonces estoy haciendo la segunda. Nomás te estoy avisando.
Ok, lo checo. Yo lo checo, tú no te preocupes.
Pero lo estoy presentando.
Okay, that's good news. So this one, guys, this is what stores food waste. So how do we call that, Isaac?
The one of water.
Yeah, stores food, water, waste, and other materials.
The central vacuole? Or
the central vacuole or vacuole. Yeah, very good, Isaac.
Okay.
And then the last two ones, has passageways that carry proteins and other materials from one part to the other part of a cell or to another cell. Tamara? What do you think this is? What is the transport mechanism of each cell?
The Golgi apparatus.
No, that's what packages it. Yeah, it does it. Yeah, the Golgi apparatus, I understand you do that, but what is doing the transportation itself? You see it right here?
Vesicles.
Vesicles, yeah. So the Golgi apparatus is not really transporting it. It packages it and it prepares it for transport, okay? So it's involved in transportation, but what executes the transport is the vesicles, okay? So that you understand the difference.
So, Mr., the Golgi apparatus creates vesicles.
Exactly.
Which the vesicles transport the proteins.
Yeah, the Golgi apparatus, in fact, makes vesicles. So parts of the Golgi apparatus are released like burbujitas, you can say, like little bubbles are released from the Golgi apparatus. And in fact, the vesicles are part of the Golgi apparatus. So it's a piece of Golgi apparatus that forms into a vesicle to transport it, and then it comes back. It's very interesting how that works, but we will see that more in detail. The last one, Leonella, tiny strands inside the nucleus that contain the instructions for directing the cell's functions. Tamara, are you there? Or Leonella, if you want, you can tell me.
¿Puede repetirlo? Es que mi
The
internet
tiny
está
strands
súper mal.
inside the nucleus that contain the instructions for directing the cell's functions.
Chromatin?
Yeah, chromatin or DNA, very good. Okay, guys, if you're able to do this, then you understood everything what you have to know today. Okay, here you have some memory items. If you want, I can share you this document as well because I like it. It's a very nice document, and here you have all the answer key as well. I share that with you because it's a very nice and simple summary of what you have to know. You have to know each part, the function, and how do you remember it. Okay, what do you think? It's not a very difficult class today. This is basically what we had to do for today. Okay. I'm not going to give you any homework today. We want a quiet week. Tomorrow we have the guest speaker, but it was important for me just to give this theoretical introduction of all the cell components, because we're going to see several of them in a lot of detail. And therefore, it's important that you distinguish them, you know, that we just have like a simple overview of each cell, its parts and its functions, you know, that when we go into more detail about a certain thing, that you at least know what we're talking about, okay? Is this clear for you? I'm going to share this information with you. I'm going to share the exercise, and I share the presentation, okay? Because I'm not coming back to this. We go more talking into detail about each specific component. If you have questions, ask me right now, and otherwise, that's it for today, and we see each other tomorrow at 11, okay?
Bye, mister.
Okay?
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Have a
Mr.
good day.
Thank you.
Andrea and Arturo, wait a little bit. I know Andrea left already. I wanted Arturo, what did you do in order to make it work? What happened?
Ay, espera. Bueno, no puedo pausar el quiz, pero bueno, nomás, ya estaba casi todo enojado, es lo gracioso, estaba ya casi enojado y marqué. Y pues, cuando me dijeron que me metiera a Canvas para mandarle captura, me pareció de la nada las preguntas. Entonces, ahí fue cuando te mandé el mensaje de que ya estoy presentando el examen, pero fue de la nada.
It's funny that you say that, Arturo, because I also got angry because you have no idea, Arturo. I talk to so many people and nobody really gives me an answer. It's a bit annoying, and I think that that it's our responsibility to help you. And honestly, I don't know what's wrong. So I'm glad it works, but still it's a bit frustrating that we still don't know what really happened. But anyway,
Yeah.
at least it's good that it worked. And yeah, I'm still in contact with those people, okay?
Yes, just I will be like here presenting the exam.
Okay, yeah, but you can do it on your own. I can monitor on a distance because I have another meeting right now.
Okay.
And just do it as honest as possible. No, just do it honest, okay? You don't have time to cheat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.